Good evening, all. Welcome to November 15 Town Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Joseph Lepore, Fifth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Supervisor. I'd like to welcome everybody.
Ann Shearson, one of our board members, sits at that end, has perfect attendance for the 3 terms she's been on the board. And sitting here, I know how hard that is. She's missing tonight to go to her daughter's wedding. So we all wish her the best. Safe trip there and back. Congratulations on the marriage of her daughter. And by the way, perfect attendance, 3 terms. That's 6 years. That's unbelievable. But thank you and move on.
We have one public hearing tonight. It's Town of Cone Bennett, Chapter 105 for fees relating to reapprovals and commercial solar energy public utility projects. We have a motion to open the first public hearing.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 1? Doreen.
So, just to be clear on something, you are voting tonight on Chapter 210, paragraph V.5 for reapprovals and fees associated with those reapprovals?
Did you get the right public hearing, Doreen?
Yeah, Chapter 105 fees.
105.-4.
Oh, okay, right, but if you look
Okay.
at what was posted online, there is a section that is section 210, and that's
Got it.
V.5.
Yep, got it.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
So
you were
that
2
is
pages ahead of me.
okay. So that is what you're voting on tonight,
Correct.
and that is to have the payment for reapproval to be 10% of the original application fee.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I wanted to verify that because there is an agenda item on tomorrow night's planning board agenda, and they are paying a 10% of the original application fee, reapproval fee. And it says it's per section 210 V.5. Well, how can they be on tomorrow night's planning board agenda paying a fee that you have yet to vote on? So that's why I wanted to make sure that that is what you're voting on tonight. It is.
And I will look into that.
All right, and I will talk about that later also, but I just wanted to make sure that is what, and I do have an objection to the 10% fee. I don't have a problem with prorating it, but I do think that 10% of the original application fee is too low. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss this public hearing? Anybody? If not, go ahead and make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Being enacted that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to the public hearing held on November 15, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt amendments to Town Code Chapter 105 entitled Fees, and be it further enacted that the amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim, and be it further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on November 2nd, 2017, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on November 6th, 2017, and be it further enacted that said local law shall take effective immediately upon filing with the State, Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
No,
All
just,
those
as per your quite standard practice, the materials which are being added are underscored, and everything which is not underscored or in brackets is going to continue as it was.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Comes the end of our public hearings for tonight's agenda items. We got adopted, number 2, amended base proportions. Number 3, tax search settlement for Bright Horizons. Number 4, intermunicipal agreement for snow and ice removal with Dutchess County. Number 5, ratifies water, sewer, and miscellaneous rent charges re-levied to the county. Accept maintenance bonds for Grand Meadows. 7, rezoning lead agency to the Manor Hill Community Project. 8, certificate of attendance for Carl Whitehead. 9, resolution for Raymond Avenue School Project. 10, accept the town board minutes. 11, settle in the matter of Elaine versus Anderson. And 12, set a date for a public hearing on the excavation law. Make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on any agenda item.
A second.
Favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody to discuss any agenda item? Doreen?
So the question on special consent item number 1, resignation of Maureen Moss. So is that a civil service job?
No, it's a
And,
part-time position.
okay, and will it be posted on the town's website?
Yes, it will.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
See, number 11, town settling a lawsuit. So the town has to pay $23,334. It appears to, is this Elaine Case?
Yep.
Okay, and,
That, the town will pay their deductible, the insurance company will cover the rest.
okay, so that was my next question.
Yeah.
So all but $5,000
Yep.
the insurance company is covering, okay. And then the tax cert, agenda item number 3 for Bright Horizons. That just looks like a very large decrease. I mean, in 2015, they were at 1.8 million, and now they're being assessed at $775,000.
Yeah, they go by their profit margin and things like that. It's like this, the retail businesses, it's not always just the property value. It goes by their profit and loss statements and all that they have to bring in too, and that's what they came. I'm not a fan of how low it went, because it's basically a third of what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that is I've been talking about these for years, and I have to say that this is probably one of the largest reductions that I've seen. And, when you were talking about the budget, Mike and Jay, you both mentioned that you don't have any control over fire taxes. Well, this is something that is under your control and does affect fire taxes, because between the two of those years, the refunds, it's going to be about $5,700 that would have gone to the Arlington Fire District, and about $8,800 that would have gone to the town. So those of us town taxpayers who are also in the Arlington Fire District are now picking up about, $14,000, so.
Yeah, and they're not just giving away. I mean, this is a long negotiated settlement. It's not like we're just sitting downstairs. I mean, the lawyers go and they figure it out. They could actually compare this one to almost identical project out in Hopewell is one of the ways they come up with that number. But I agree, it's a low number for what it was.
Yeah, that's, it's not good for taxpayers. Thank you.
Anybody else like to discuss any item on the agenda? If not, can motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie adopted Resolution 89, number 7 of 2017, and Resolution 823, Special Consent 2 of 2017, which said resolutions adopted and certified the current base proportions and adjusted base proportions for the 2017 tax roll. And whereas an error has been found in the current base proportions and adjusted base proportions, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adopt and certify the current base proportions as follows. Town. Homestead, 51.38766. Non-homestead, 48.61234. Town outside the village. Homestead, 48.99253. Non-homestead, 51.00747. Consolidated light. Homestead, 52.62755. Non-homestead, 47.37245. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adopt and certify the adjusted base proportions as follows. Town homestead, 51.32953. Non-homestead, 48.67047. Town outside village, 48.93880. Non-homestead, 51.06120. Consolidated light, homestead, 52.51054. Non-homestead, 47.48946. So moved.
Second.
We have motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of the tax certiorari proceedings instituted by Bright Horizons Children's Centers Incorporated, 15 Golf Club Lane, grid number 6160-03-160127, for the tax assessment rolls of 2015, 16, and 17 as follows. Assessment roll 2015, the assessment 1.852, $1.852,500. Let me reread that. Reduced assessment, $1.2 million. The amount of reduction is $652,500. 2016, $1,309,500. Reduced assessment to $1,050,000. Amount of reduction, $259,500. 2017 assessment, $775,000. Reduced assessment is $775,000. A zero reduction. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee, Town Assessor, and Karen Hagstrom of Corberly, Gartland, and Rapelier LLP to sign such papers as are necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions on this one?
I've talked with our assessor about these things in the past. There was one that we did with one of the supermarkets, and I thought it was exceptionally high. So I said, why are we not fighting this? And this is a court matter. So if we decide to fight it, it costs us more tax dollars to fight it.
A lawyer.
And if the judge decides to just split the difference, we still lose. So as distasteful as these things are, I don't think we have a choice. Once they come to a negotiated settlement, for us to impose our opinion on it could cost us tax dollars that we don't need to spend.
It could cost us a lot of money, and I could never understand, I still don't understand why their profit and loss is part of this equation. I mean, they bought a building, the building was assessed at that value. The fact that their business isn't what it is to bring it in, but that's how to.
I said that about
it works.
I had exact same argument about the supermarket.
Yeah,
But from a perspective of running this town like a business, if we fight this, it costs us more in legal fees, and we're not going to win. We're going to get some kind of settlement. If it's halfway down, we're still going to lose.
and it could be less.
Could even be less, that's true.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas by Resolution 12-3, Number 8 of 2014, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, approved the execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Dutchess to participate in the Regional County Highway Snow and Ice Control Program within the boundaries of the town. And whereas the county has forwarded a new intermunicipal agreement for snow removal and ice control starting October 1st, 2017 through April 30th, 2018, that would pay per mile and eliminate a significant amount of tedious paperwork. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the county for the town's participation in the program, and the highway superintendent, Pfeiffer, is hereby authorized to perform such work and to receive the materials and payments therefore as outlined in the annexed IMA during the winter season of 2017-2018. And be it further resolved that this is a type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions on this one? The only comment I have on this one is they have changed the paperwork process. Before, it was down to what size truck they're driving, what was the driver that was driving, was he supervised, how long he was out there. They went to $5,200 a mile. And when you actually think it out, some towns had certain areas where they were going to do this, and the county said it doesn't fit into the plan because it may break up one of their projects or one of their road groups out there. So not everything was compatible. Spots that we have are roads that we're actually driving over anyway. So we're actually going to get paid to be going from spot to spot.
Smart.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution number 5, whereas it appears that certain water and sewer rents, assessments, and charges due to various districts in the town of Poughkeepsie from properties within said district have not been paid more than 60 days on liens against said properties. And notice that those delinquent charges are detailed by the town's software support analysis as being forwarded to the County of Dutchess per Town Law 198, 1K, and 3D by November 13, 2017. And whereas delinquent charges for property maintenance have also been forwarded to the County Dutchess pursuant to Town Code Section 159. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, hereby verifies notification to Dutchess County regarding delinquent water and sewer rents and charges and property maintenance. Charges are requested that the amount stated as being default be delinquent against the properties liable therefore. Water, $311,992.24. Sewer, $218,243. Other, $951.39. Total of $531,186.66. So moved.
Second?
We have motion and second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie, upon the recommendation of the Town Highway Superintendent, does hereby authorize the supervisor to accept for dedication the roads within Grand Meadow subdivision, known as respectively Jameel Court, Ray Boulevard, Elia Court, said acceptance and dedication to be effective upon the receipt of a maintenance security bond of $112,000 to be held for 1 year from said receipt together with the deed, title insurance policy, and recording documents in form acceptable to the town attorney. So moved.
Second?
The motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby refer to the application of Manor Hill Mobile Home Park for a project known as Manor Hill Community Project, located at 246 North Grand Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York. Tax parcel ID 6162-16-970-397 for a change of zone from residence, single family, 20,000 square foot, R20 district to residence mobile home, RMH district, to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board for special use permit and site plan review pursuant to Town Code 210-83 and Town Code 210-150-152 respectively, and recommendation pursuant to Town Code 210-154, and hereby consents to the designation of the Planning Board as a lead agency for secret review of said project. So move.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 8. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept certificates of attendance for Carl H. Whitehead from Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Form-Based Zoning and Sign Regulation, copies of which are attached here too. So moved.
Second?
Motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 9 of 2017 of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Board, acknowledgement of receipt of an amendment application and setting of a public hearing in the matter of the application of Paz Management Incorporated for zoning text change and site plan approval for the redevelopment of the former Raymond Avenue School, 25 and 31 Raymond Avenue, Town of Poughkeepsie. Whereas on August 16th, 2017, Paz Management Incorporated, as the contract vendee for the purchase of the former Raymond Avenue School located at 25 and 31 Raymond Avenue, tax parcel number 6161126755, 735, and 784726, consisting of plus or minus 6.8 acres, submitted a petition for a zoning map amendment and a zoning text amendment to allow the redevelopment for the former public school site for a mixed-use project, which will be quoted as project, and whereas as originally proposed for the project would include the restoration and conversion of the former school building for approximately 44 residential dwelling units as part of the plus or minus 172 total apartments of various bedroom mixes, i.e. studio and 1 and 2 bedroom units, plus or minus 16,200 square feet of retail, restaurant, and office space, 110-room hotel, parking for plus or minus 351 vehicles, and site amenities such as a pool and walking paths for residents. And whereas on August 23rd, 2017, the town board adopted a notice of intent and declared itself to be the lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the project and directed town staff to circulate the application to the identified involved agencies, seeking their consent to the town board, acting as the lead agency. And whereas none of the involved agencies objected to the town board assuming the role of lead agency within 30 days of mailing of the notice of intent, and on September 29th, 2017, the town board became the lead agency, and whereas since the time of the original circulation of the application, the applicant and town staff and town consultants have worked on revisions of the site plan, the long-form environmental assessment form, and the zoning text amendment. And whereas the proposed project has been amended to delete the request for a zoning map amendment, modified the proposed zoning text amendments, and modified the proposed site plan so that it eliminates the proposed hotel, provides for 47 residential dwelling units, plus or minus, in the former school building, includes plus or minus 100 residential units within a 4-story building, plus or minus 14 residential units on the upper 2 floors of a 3-story building with the plus or minus 5,640 square feet of ground floor commercial space, plus or minus 20 residential units on the upper 2 floors of a 3-story building with a plus or minus 8,773 square feet of ground floor commercial space, parking for the plus or minus 209 vehicles and the site amenities such as a pool and walking paths for residents. And whereas the changes to the application are substantial and the town board has determined that the amended application should be recirculated to the involved and interested agencies as an advisory to allow said agencies to review and comment on the plan changes. And whereas the town board has initially classified the project as an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing regulation 6 NYCRR, Part 16, seeker. And whereas the zoning text amendment requires a public hearing, and whereas the project will also require site plan approval from the town planning board, along with other permits and approvals from various local, regional, state agencies, now therefore be it resolved, 1, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment, which is attached hereto for December 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard in the town hall, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, the town board hereby directs staff to circulate the amended application to all the identified involved and interested agencies, along with a request for the comment regarding said amended application. And 3, the town board refers this matter to the planning board for an advisory report pursuant to section 210-54 of the town code. And 4, the town board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to GML 239M. And 5, the town board directs the town clerk to notify the surrounding towns of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions this one? Neil, I have one question. How
Yes.
come, with all these, end up all these numbers for all these units, and it says plus or minus?
They're still making some adjustments to some of the interior spaces. For instance, and this is one of the things, and we do have the applicant here tonight to talk about some of the changes. So for instance, in the, I believe it was the August application, they had something like 44 units proposed for the school. They're now up to 47. So there's adjustments that are going on. We're not talking big swings in the numbers, but that's why we're sticking the plus or minus in to allow for those adjustments. At the end of the day, what really counts is not necessarily units, but bedrooms for purposes of water and sewer and parking. So we're also focusing on that as well. But that's the reason for the plus or minus.
In what step do those numbers start coming out, the bedrooms? How far?
Honestly, I think if you're going to go beyond maybe 5 either way, then you really kind of need to take a step back, particularly if you're bumping those numbers up.
And using the plus or minus, what would be the number?
And
that we
again,
put?
5 is just kind of my sort of number.
Okay. We have plus or minus, I think now it's like 180 something. What would be over plus, over 200? Does that make it over a plus number? they've gone over too far? There's
Yeah, I
gotta be
mean,
a kill spot
Yeah, if
somewhere.
we're jumping the numbers like that, then yeah, we've got other issues that we're going to have to circle back and take a look at, particularly on the parking and the traffic, which is always,
Yeah,
an
I can see
issue.
the plus or
Yeah.
minus on the parking and the
Right.
commercial a little bit spot. I just want to
Yeah.
be sure.
At this stage of the project, I think it's important to allow for some flexibility in terms of what is proposed. At the end, when the board votes, we will have those numbers nailed down.
Oh,
But-
okay.
So we're still, kind of in a state of flux. And the proposed amendment that staff is recommending that you set the public hearing on is also very different from the one that was requested originally back in August. Included in that material was a request for rezoning to add an overlay zone that would then be designated for this property. We've gone back and forth on the advisability of the overlay zone. We talked to county planning. And so what you actually have that would be the subject of the public hearing in December is an amendment that would create an anchor project as a use, much like we do with business parks. So we think that that's actually a better format within which to get this ultimately have this project redeveloped that school site. Yeah, so if we're talking big swings in the numbers of units, yeah, we're going to be coming back to you again at a later date. But I'm pretty confident where we are right now is where we're going to be at the end. So in other words, the 47 units in the Raymond Avenue School, it's probably not going to change. So,
you were
but
saying-
at the end, it'll be we'll eliminate the plus or minus, and that'll be
Okay, so you'll be back with that as a
right,
final number.
right, exactly. And it's the same with the parking. That's why we're just
Yeah,
sort of
that I
giving ourselves some
understood, yeah.
flex.
All right.
Yeah. We do have Stu Messenger, Jacob Reck is here tonight. I thought it advisable to sort of represent the proposal. There have been some changes to the site plan. I think we've made a lot of progress on it. As stated in the resolution, the modification, they ended up dropping the hotel because they had to shift the driveway, the existing driveway to the site further to the south at the request of the DOT, and that constrained the area where they had originally shown the hotel. So the hotel's off the table for now. They may come back in a later date. We still allow for hotels as a use within the anchor project per the code, recommended code change. I also want to, we were delayed getting the materials to the board and out to the public because we were still working on the language of that amendment. I want to make sure that everybody is looking at the one that's dated November 9th. Should be in the package of materials. There was an older one from, I think it was October 25th. That is not the one we're
I
using.
have the one that you emailed.
Yeah, I want to make sure
copy.
that's the one they have. So it
I
should be
actually-
November 9th. We just want to make sure because
Even
we
the one
were,
that I showed you earlier today was November 9th that they dropped off last week.
okay,
So I think we're good.
Yep,
okay, okay.
we'll have it.
Okay, good, good. So, just turn it over to Jacob and Stu.
Gentlemen?
I'm gonna stand up because my easel wasn't working, so I have to hold.
One of ours?
No.
Yeah, sure.
It'll be fine, just,
I'm glad Crystal
not
Keene
heavy.
isn't here to see this.
we're good.
We're good. Is this on? No. Good. This on.
Feels like a Monday.
Okay. No? Got it. There we go. Stuart Messinger, Chazen Companies. Neil, I think, covered one of the two major changes, which is the project no longer includes a hotel. You may recall we had earlier discussion about our ability to move this roadway here so that we would have room for the hotel. DOT basically told us that they weren't going to allow that the road need to align across from Davis Avenue. So we've had to keep the present alignment, and it just doesn't give us enough room in this configuration. If we could figure out a way to do it, we'd like to come back and do it. If there was a flag that had, some kind of design or some kind of a plan that they would want to build, we would consider it. But for purposes of this application and for seeker purposes, because that's really important, this is the project. The other major change is just in the configuration of the apartment building in the rear. You may recall when we originally presented it, we kind of had two buildings. It's now a single building, and that really had to do with the efficiency of laying out the apartments inside. When the architects got to actually doing the floor plans and the building plans, the way we had it before was just really inefficient. This works a whole lot better. The unit count changed a little bit. We've got a few more units in the school primarily, a few more units up here. We're still fiddling around a little bit with the size and mix of the units. But that's, I think there's, I want to say 8 more or 9 more here than in the prior configuration. So it's not a big difference. All the other changes, I think, are relatively minor. We're showing here a potential stub or future connection to property adjacent so that we could provide, if there's a future development over there, we could provide some interconnection, which I think would be helpful. We had a meeting with the planning board. We've had a set of preliminary comments from Liz and from Morris and from the planning board's traffic consultants and also from DOT. So we're working to address those. We'll be making a resubmission to the planning board in December and hope to resume that review in January, while you folks in the meantime are moving forward on the rezoning aspect of the project. So that's the overview.
Anybody got any questions?
I noticed, and I'm going back to the original discussion, when you decided to save the school building, that the courtyard, I guess that's what you call it, between the two front buildings has narrowed down. Yeah, that courtyard right there. The idea was that you would see the whole portico area of the building, the characteristic of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do that with the roadway you have there and the way it is, but I think Ann brought it up. I know it was discussed at the historic preservation thing. So I think if there's a way for us to widen, enlarge, I don't know what the right word is, I'm not an engineer or an architect, but the purpose was so that from Raymond Avenue, you would see that front portico of the building.
It's lined. We'll take a look at that. It's lined up right now that I think you can see it, but we'll take a look at that and see if we can verify it one way or the other. But I hear that comment.
Okay, thank you.
And for the record, the spacing currently is designed, so our architect or firm was talking about the width of the courtyard is, so some may know the courtyard and where the Starbucks is on Route 9. So this courtyard is considerably wider than that if you're visualizing, and the width is 40 feet wide here, which is proportional to the height, and there's some architectural...
I just looked at the sketch that came with it, which I think is
Yeah.
a micro one of that, and looking at that, and looking at the portico on the front of the building, it looks to me to be narrower.
Okay. Take a look.
I'm not an engineer or an architect, but it does look narrower. If there's a way that you could make that so that you can clearly see that front of the building, I think that would be really good.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Nope.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby accept the minutes for the following 2017 Town Board meetings, to wit, October 4th, 2017, regular Town Board meeting, October 18th, 2017, regular Town Board meeting, and November 1st, 2017, regular Town Board meeting. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution number 11, be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize a settlement by assigned counsel Steve Stern Esquire of Sokolov Stern LLP of any all claims against the town in the matter of Elaine case versus Anderson et al. For $23,334, which settlement is within the applicable policy limits and subject to a $5,000 deductible. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Number 12, be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby set the 6th day of December 2017, 7 p.m., Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider amendments and substantially the form attached to Town Code Chapter 174 entitled Streets and Sidewalks, which amendment would read as follows. Repeal 174-21 through 174-35 Streets and Sidewalks, Article 4 Excavations. Add 174-21 through 174-36 Streets and Sidewalks, Article 4 Excavations. See attachment. Be it further resolved that the Town Board is hereby waived the verbatim reading and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if, in fact, they have been read verbatim. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does determine that this action is a Type 2 action, require no environmental review. Be it further resolved that said amendments, if adopted, will take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, just a comment. This is the digging in the town roads law that we've worked on, and you got a draft of it the last time we talked at the Committee of the Whole. We got the comments from Central Hudson. I sent them a copy of the draft and asked for their input. And they sent those back, and we had another committee meeting, and the committee again voted to put this out to you for a vote to set the public hearing. And I think that's a very good thing.
Okay. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit, accept Town Clerk Salvatore resignation of Maureen Moss, and be it further resolved that upon objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from this list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 1115, Special Consent 1. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept, with regret, the resignation of Maureen Moss from her position as part-time legal secretary in the legal department, effective as of close of business on November 27th, 2017. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions on this? All I want to say is thanks to Maureen for the few years that I know her. She did a phenomenal job there, and she was definitely a help to the rest of the department there. And when everybody else was out, being she was part-time, she definitely was able to fill in that spot whenever it was needed. Wish her good luck on her new endeavors. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Coming out of our agenda, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on any item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anybody like to bring up anything in relation to the town at all? Come on up, sir.
I brought this up before, and no action has been taken on it, and that's the dead trees on Ridge Road. I talked to Mark about it, and he says they're too far back from the road to be under his jurisdiction. But yet if they fall on the road, which is a public highway, and crushes a car or a school bus, or just children walking to the school bus, I think it's a hazard and should be taken care of. I've been asking you for about 8 months and nothing's been done about it.
Mr. Casement, if it's off the road and out of our easement, we don't have the right to tell somebody to take it down. We could send them a letter saying, if it falls in our road.
Have you sent them a letter?
No, because this is the first time I've heard it.
I've talked about it a couple times.
I don't remember that.
Joe knows about it. The last time I talked to him, he said, yes, he looked at it.
Yeah, if it's, it's not Mark's job to do, we can look at it and we can send the homeowners a letter. There's no need to raise your voice. I mean, this is the first time I've heard of it, and I will send them a letter.
It's not the first time you heard it.
The first time I recall hearing it, I will repeat myself again, do you hear me? This is the first time I remember hearing it. I will send them a letter. It is not our job to go on somebody's property and cut their trees down. If it falls or not, we can inform the resident, whoever it is, no different than if your neighbor's tree is dying and could fall on your house. If you inform them, their insurance company is responsible for covering it. That's the first time. The last thing you asked me to do was to make sure pictures were there when we put things out on the agenda. I do not remember this at all.
Even though it's a hazard to people walking on the road.
As I said before, this is the first time I remember hearing it. Give me a chance to look into it.
And Mr. Caseman, I've had people through the 10 years that I've done this contact me about these trees that they see, and they are deep in there, and to this day, they still stand. And so I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I certainly do hope that that strange occurrence, God forbid, does happen. But I've been contacted by a few people, and we've looked at it professionally and feel that it may not be the same threat, because we may have different feelings on the threat level of it, and the depth of it. And thankfully, we haven't had that type of circumstance. I understand the value that you're trying to bring by saying, hey, it could fall on a car, it could fall on a kid walking. We do understand that. We will take a look at it, but sometimes people cry wolf, and those trees are actually pretty strong and healthy, and they last a good long time.
Well, the piece already fell last winter.
Yeah.
A large section of one, about
right?
half of one tree fell on the road and closed the road for several hours till the highway department cleaned it up.
Mm-hmm.
So they are at a point of falling.
The only thing I think we can do by law, and I will check with them, is no different than a homeowner. If we think it's in jeopardy of falling on somebody's property, we can notify them. And all that does is if it falls, I think it falls in the ball's in their court that they're responsible for it. No different than one's leaning on your house.
That'll really help them when it's their responsibility when somebody gets killed. Okay.
Well, it can happen at any tree at any time, unfortunately. You know how they can be, Mr. Caseman. God forbid, you just get a windstorm like Vassar Road a handful of years ago. You remember the devastation of the trees there? It was horrible. We hope that never happens, though.
That's unavoidable when it's a live tree, but these have been dead for several years. There's no bark left on the trees.
Well, we'll take another closer look at it for you, pal.
Anybody else like to discuss it? Doreen?
Regarding the redevelopment project of the Raymond Avenue School, I think it is a good project. My concern is just, like I had mentioned before, about the plus or minus. I'm glad you brought that up, Jay, but it was 172 and now it's 181, so there's not a big difference. And I know you questioned Neil and he said, it might be 5, but I don't know. Shouldn't there be like some maximum or something? It just.
Well, that's why I said, what was the breaking point? 10%? The other thing is they have to come back to us once they finalize and it goes around to, it does come back to us. And, it's 184 minus a hotel. So it's a big change, but it's definitely something we have to look into and watch. And that's why I was getting the numbers 10% over limit, not 50%.
Okay, because, you know that if there's any loophole or wiggle room, I'm sure their attorney will find it. And so therefore, I think that, the plus or minus. So, and again, this is a public hearing on what is here, the plus or minus, but I don't know, I would like to see when it comes down to the final thing for the board to vote on, that there's really either, a firm number or a maximum number. I think that would be good.
Maximum was what I was looking for.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay, and then the other thing is something that I alluded to in my previous comments about the fees. So, and I sent an email to the town board. It was around 11 o'clock, so I don't know, 11 o'clock this morning, I don't know if people had time to read it. So, and this is in Mike Siffone's ward, the 4th ward. So it's for the Dahlia project. And their site plan approval had been extended twice. They were given the 2 maximum 90-day extensions that were allowed. And so they're seeking reapproval of their site plan application. And they sent a letter to the planning board on November 1st. And that letter said that they were seeking reapproval, and they were sending in an application fee that was, and I quote, "at this time consistent with Chapter 210, new paragraph V.5." So they asked to be on the planning board agenda on November 1st and pay only 10% of the original application fee, and they said it was consistent with Chapter 210 V.5. Well, you only approved that tonight. So I don't know why the planning department, Mr. Wilson, allowed this on the agenda for tomorrow night. So they're asking to be on the agenda for a section of code, and they had the nerve to say that it is consistent with Chapter 210 on November 1st. It wasn't consistent. There was no such portion of the code as of November 1st. And furthermore, if you look at the existing town code, it says an application shall be placed on the planning board agenda only after payment of the application fee as set by the town board. Well, the application fee that was set by the town board when they submitted would have been 100% because their project was expired. That was it. The only way to do it was to go through the whole approval process again. So, in my opinion, this is on the agenda, inconsistent with town law, and it should be removed. If they want to go back on the agenda, eventually, fine. If they want it on for tomorrow night, then I believe they should have paid the whole fee that was in place at the time. So, I don't know how it got on there. I don't think they should be paying the reduced amount. If they want to be on tomorrow night and pay the whole amount, fine. But I don't, and I'm concerned about how it got through and why the current code wasn't followed.
I'll look into it in the morning. As I said, I got your message this afternoon. I will look into it.
Okay. And Mike, will you be on this?
I'll ask Neil. I got to find out why.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Tori. Anybody else? If not, motion to resume the rules.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
So where's the phone?
Nothing?